Yo, what's good? So I just caught Sports Center on ESPN, and the entire panel was dealing with two absolutely massive and deeply important stories involving the New York Knicks that have fans simultaneously excited about potential franchise-altering roster moves, while also genuinely disturbed and concerned about the toxic behavior some so-called fans are directing toward professional athletes. There's blockbuster trade speculation emerging that Jaren Jackson Jr., the elite two-way big man currently with the Memphis Grizzlies, could potentially be on the move to the New York Knicks in what would be a seismic acquisition. But before we dive into that trade reporting, the Sports Center crew had to address something far more serious and disturbing: players receiving death threats from fans, and specifically Jalen Brunson opening up about the horrific abuse he's experienced. Hey! What's up, everyone? Before we jump into this massive Knicks news, I just want to ask you for a quick favor that would mean the world to me. If you could just take 1 second right now and hit that like button, it would be incredibly important to me and helps this channel grow so much. I know it seems like a small thing, but those likes genuinely make a huge difference in getting this content out to more Knicks fans who need to stay updated on everything happening with this team. So, seriously, just tap that like button real quick. It literally takes 1 second, and it helps me out more than you know. The analysts don't even have a regular opening for this segment because today they're discussing something that, frankly, nobody should have to be talking about in professional sports: death threats being sent to players by people who claim to be fans. Let's be absolutely crystal clear from the start. According to the Sports Center panel, if you are making death threats to another player, to any athlete in any sport whatsoever, you have already crossed a serious and unacceptable line. There's no gray area here, no room for debate or justification. Recently, Knicks captain Jalen Brunson spoke powerfully about some fans who have taken things way too far, and the panel wants to break down exactly what he had to say. According to reporting from NBA insider Jared Schwartz, in light of New York Giants kicker Graham Gano's public comments about receiving death threats and horrific abuse on social media platforms, Schwartz directly asked Jalen Brunson about his personal experience dealing with similar harassment. The Knicks star genuinely opened up about what he's been dealing with over the last few seasons, and the Sports Center crew cannot believe that the team captain is actually having to cope with all of this toxicity and abuse. Brunson said in his own words, "It's definitely crossed the line multiple times. Actually, I would say more than just a couple of times. People have said some pretty messed up stuff to me. The way I personally deal with stuff like that is, I have my close circle. I have my family who keep me level-headed, whether things are positive or negative in my career. I have a very close inner circle that I turn to when I start to get doubts, or I start to get nervous, or see hateful stuff like that directed at me. It's genuinely tough to see, but I feel like the way I was raised by my parents, I use that negativity and try to transform it into something positive for myself, and that's a credit to how my parents raised me. I try not to let it get to me emotionally, but there are definitely times that I reach breaking points mentally. I try not to let the world see when I'm struggling, because people don't really care about your personal problems. But I think when my family is around me, I'm allowed to be vulnerable and allowed to say what's genuinely on my mind, say what's weighing on my chest, and not feel judged in any way about expressing those feelings. But it definitely crosses a line that shouldn't be crossed. I think people need healthy outlets for their emotion, no matter what your outlet is. When stuff like that is happening, whether it's positive or negative, you need to be able to express how you feel in appropriate ways. It's tough to deal with, and I really don't wish that experience on anybody. I don't really understand why people think it's acceptable to press send when they're typing some truly hateful stuff. And when I say stuff, I mean the absolute worst things you're thinking of. It's actually worse than that. Fondle. The Sports Center panel emphasized that whether you're in the NBA, NFL, MLB, or any professional sport, it absolutely does not matter. You never, ever deserve to receive death threats under any circumstances whatsoever. The analysts don't know what goes through some people's minds before they send a threatening message, before they compose that hateful DM, before they hit submit on an abusive comment. They're not sure why people make the destructive decisions they make. So you didn't hit on your sports betting parlay? You didn't win your bet? Something didn't go the way you wanted in your life. Maybe the Knicks were supposed to accomplish something specific in your mind. The Yankees were supposed to win. The Jets were supposed to perform better. And by some circumstance, it didn't happen the way you predicted. Now, you're angry and upset, and the only outlet you can apparently find is targeting the individual player you believe caused you this negative experience, blaming them personally, hating on them, and sending death threats. If you're engaging in that behavior, the Sports Center crew wants to be absolutely clear. There's a severe psychological problem at hand already. It should never, ever reach that extreme level of toxicity. The panel doesn't care what your personal situation is. They don't care if you're betting money or what the specific circumstances are. There should never be any reason for any fan to cross that line. And think carefully about what that word means. You're supposedly a fan, either a fan of the game itself, a fan of the team, or a fan of specific players. You're a fan, and you're taking that fandom and actively abusing it in the worst possible way. Let's get something straight according to the analysts. When you take your fandom and add sports betting into that equation, and things don't work out in your financial favor, and then you use that supposed fandom to verbally abuse that team or specific players, you are fundamentally abusing your status as a fan. You are abusing professional athletes who are human beings. In the Sports Center panel's opinion, if any fans want to cross that serious line, then they should be prepared to accept any legal consequences that come with crossing that line. If that means potential jail time for making threats, then that means jail time. If that means a permanent ban from ever entering the arena again, then that means a lifetime arena ban. The sports world needs to start taking serious action and stepping up enforcement on these issues, because the problems are escalating and nothing substantial is being done to stop it. People are still getting away with saying absolutely horrible, threatening things online, and there are no real consequences. Sure, at physical arenas with in-person fans, the overt hate and abuse has died down somewhat due to increased security, but when it comes to social media platforms, that hate is still extremely strong and pervasive. Why does it persist? Because there are countless keyboard warriors hiding behind their cell phones and computer screens, hiding behind anonymous avatars and fake profile. You can't see them physically, you don't know their real identity, and when you can't identify them, they can send threatening messages in complete anonymity without anybody disturbing them or holding them accountable. That's exactly what these cowards want. The Sports Center crew emphasized that abusers shouldn't have that freedom and protection of anonymity. They should not be able to hide their identity when they're causing situations like this, when they're engaging in threatening and abusive behavior. There is absolutely no place anywhere on this planet to go out and threaten any professional athlete for any single reason whatsoever. It does not matter what's happening in your individual personal life to take that frustration out on a player or their family members or the sport that millions of people know and love. It's a complete disgrace to you as an individual, a disgrace to the team you claim to support, and a disgrace to the sport itself. You simply cannot do that and think it's acceptable behavior. Nobody should be able to engage in that abuse and get away with it without consequences. The panel hopes that moving forward, people won't be able to get away with it anymore, that the sports world will be able to call out abusers publicly and let everybody know who's hiding behind fake profiles, saying horrible, threatening things about Jalen Brunson or any other player. If you want to stand behind your keyboard and type all of these threatening and abusive things, then you should absolutely be held fully accountable for everything you say and post. In the analyst's opinion, that accountability is only fair and just. The Sports Center crew wants to make something absolutely clear about sports betting, since that's often connected to this abuse. Betting itself is not the fundamental problem. If you want to bet on a game between the Knicks and Nets, and you want to put your money on New York because you believe the Knicks are going to win, more power to you and good luck. The issue is not betting or gambling itself. The real issue is people who bet, but do not understand or accept the consequences and personal responsibility that comes with betting. When you place a bet, that's a financial decision and agreement between you and your sportsbook, period. Nobody else is involved in that transaction. If your bet fails and you lose money, that failure is on you and your prediction. If your bet succeeds and you win money, that success is also on you. Do not put that outcome responsibility on the players. Because once you start blaming athletes for your gambling losses, once you join that toxic environment of abusing players, there is genuinely no escaping it mentally. Soon, you're going to become one of those people you claim to hate. One of those toxic individuals getting unreasonably upset about the game you used to love, about players you used to genuinely root for and support, all because your bets aren't hitting and your parlays aren't coming through. The panel will say it again for absolute emphasis. Betting and gambling can be a wonderful recreational activity if used the proper, responsible way. But just like with anything else in life, if you abuse it, or you don't use it correctly, or you don't understand how to gamble responsibly, toxic situations like death threats are going to happen, and they absolutely shouldn't. Last year, the Sports Center crew covered a story about Brunson receiving death threats. Now this year, they're making another segment about Brunson having to address death threats and other horrible abusive things that some NBA fans tell him or message him on social media platforms. Where is the line of acceptable behavior? When is this abuse going to stop? In the panel's opinion, the line of decency has already been crossed by miles, and this abuse needs to stop immediately. The way to stop it is to stop allowing these abusive people to hide behind anonymity. Expose who they are, expose what they're saying, and expose who they're directing it toward. The more you publicly expose these abusive individuals, the less frequently this behavior will happen. But now, let's transition to the massive Jaren Jackson Jr. trade speculation, because this is genuinely seismic for the Knicks' championship aspiration. Jaren Jackson Jr. Despite being an elite high-level two-way player who signed a maximum contract extension of 5 years worth $240 million, is currently experiencing a period of silent frustration with the Memphis Grizzlies organization, according to league sources. The 2025-26 season has started in genuinely unstable fashion for the Grizzlies. They have a losing record, there's constant uncertainty and drama surrounding Ja Morant's situation and future, and the departure of Desmond Bane completely dismantled the offensive structure and spacing that the team had built in previous years. With all of that organizational chaos, Jaren Jackson Jr. has been significantly underutilized in the offensive system, even though he's statistically one of the most efficient players in the entire league in pick-and-pop situations and in mid-range scoring. Jackson wants to assume more offensive responsibility and showcase his complete skill set. But Memphis's current system and philosophy simply isn't prioritizing him or his development. At the same time, NBA executives around the league have started interpreting this moment as a potential opening for trade discussions, especially if the Grizzlies organization decides to rebuild around younger pieces with more flexible contract situations. Among the teams expressing genuine interest, according to the Sports Center panel, the New York Knicks have emerged as the most natural and logical destination for multiple compelling reasons. The Knicks desperately need an elite defender who can protect the paint and anchor their defense in the playoffs. They're actively looking for a player who can space the floor offensively with his shooting range, and they want someone who can provide immediate championship-level impact without requiring extensive adaptation or development time. League executives genuinely believe that the Knicks front office is closely monitoring any signs of growing dissatisfaction or strategic movement happening within the Memphis organization regarding Jackson. It's critically important to note that Jaren Jackson Jr. has not formally requested a trade or asked to leave Memphis. But the current dysfunctional scenario and organizational uncertainty has left the door slightly open for potential movement, and the Knicks are positioned perfectly to capitalize if that opportunity materialized. So that was the full Sports Center breakdown of Jalen Brunson's powerful and disturbing comments about receiving death threats, combined with the blockbuster Jaren Jackson Jr. trade speculation that could transform the Knicks into championship favorites.